Hey, welcome to OT Asset Management Weekly. Today we are talking about the OT-base product architecture. And while you may think this could be a rather boring topic, trust me, it's not. I think it's rather interesting. Certainly, I'm a bit biased, but the architecture really contributes heavily to the product success. So only because of this architecture, the product is adopted by some of the largest US enterprises. So let's check it out, my friends. You will find information on that architecture in the documentation and on our webpage. So if you go to langner.com and then under the features section, the last item here, that is this page, this product architecture. So let's check it out. First, I would like to draw your attention to this header here, two-tier on-premise architecture. Wow, isn't that interesting? OTbase resides completely on-premise. We don't force you into the public cloud. We don't take custody of your data. You own full custody of your data. So you can install it completely on-premise. You can also install it in a private cloud if you want to, but again, you retain custody of your data. If you look at the diagram in a little bit more detail, so this is just a sketch of what the architecture looks like, and I'll talk you through this diagram. What you will see is, first of all, this separator here where it says security. This is probably one of the most important features of the product architecture. So on top of that security barrier, we have OTbase inventory. This is the product component that I have talked about most frequently in these webcasts. So this is, you will remember this is where all the user interaction takes place. This is OTbase inventory. And OTbase inventory technically is a Docker container. So you would install it in your data center on a given server that already runs Docker. That server usually would use Linux as the basic operating system. There are also Docker versions for Windows available. You can also take advantage of that, but typically the host operating system is Linux. And why are we using a Docker container? Well, very simple, because it makes the installation and update process very, very easy. Because this Docker container is self-contained. That means you don't get additional components for the database and then for the user interface, etc. No, it all comes in one package, in one container. And so then when you update the OTbase inventory software, as an example, you just reinstall a new container and everything is taken care of behind the scenes. Your data will automatically be backed up before the update takes place, and then the backup will be restored after the update. So that makes for a very simple installation and update process. And usually OTbase inventory is placed in the enterprise network. Isn't that a security risk? No, it's not. It's not a security risk because all the interaction with the process networks, that happens below the security barrier, and we'll talk about that later. So the reason why OTbase inventory is usually installed in the enterprise network is because you want to have this central database where all the OT asset information from all your various sites is stored, so that you can process the whole universe, OT universe. And that is very important for use cases such as vulnerability management. So anything cybersecurity related is best processed centrally with that global database, so that you could identify your major problems such as vulnerabilities, as an example, not just for one specific site, but overall for the whole enterprise. And that also brings me to the next topic. Usually our customers, they have multiple sites internationally, and therefore you want to have this central unified view of everything. That does not imply that all users would enjoy this global view. No, usually that's not the case. What you would want to do, and what you can do very easily in OTbase, you can limit user access to specific parts of the inventory or to specific functions such as vulnerability management. And what you could do as an example, so if you just imagine there are users of the product in one site in Nebraska, and those users can only see, maybe also update the data of their site, but they cannot see anything else. So that is very simple to configure in OTbase. So OTbase inventory usually on the enterprise network. And if you are worried, oh, and what about those process network interactions? No, they don't take place here. This is why you see on these arrows. So these arrows are unidirectional. So OTbase inventory never talks to your process networks. And that will certainly tell the IT security minded folks in the audience, oh, that's smart, because we remember there were a couple of issues with the centralized architecture when that central piece of software reaches out to all the endpoints. So case in point would be SolarWinds, the SolarWinds disaster, where SolarWinds was compromised. And then since in that architecture, the central software piece reached out to all the distributed endpoints, then they could be compromised as well. That is simply not possible in OTbase, because OTbase inventory never, ever talks to your endpoint. So this is a unidirectional communication path here from discovery, which actually sits in your process networks. It's a one-way street. And that street technically is a secure file transfer, which is convenient because it allows you to take advantage of existing security architecture such as data diodes or DMZs. Not a problem. You can use OT-based discovery behind that data diode, for example. It does its thing and then transmits the asset information upstream through the data diode to OT-based inventory. So we are already talking about the next component here, OT-based discovery. That is, as you would guess, the discovery piece that automatically discovers your OT assets and networks. It's not just the assets, it's also the networks. It includes the field buses, my friends, your Data Highway Plus, your control net, your device net, your Circus, your profile bus. That's all discovered by OT-based discovery. And next advantage, it is a software-only product. It's not a hardware sensor. OT-base, as such, is a software-only product. You don't need to install any specific hardware, any dedicated hardware, such as a sensor that does the sniffing, the passive sniffing. No, you don't do that with OT-base. So OT-base discovery is a software product that you install on existing hardware, such as an engineering station. And that software product comes in different flavors. So first of all, you get a version for Windows, you get a version for Linux, also for different architectures like Raspberry Pi or Intel. And you just pick your choice, whatever suits you best. And then the other thing about discovery is you would usually use that as a service that runs in the background, and it wakes up every 24 hours. And then discovers the network via active discovery. Ooh, now it gets shady. So we are doing We are doing active discovery only, and all the bad things that you have heard about active discovery, let me tell you, you have been bullshitted. It's nonsense. Just forget about that, all that nonsense of how dangerous it would be. No, we are doing it all the time since years. We have, I would allege, the most experience in that field, because we haven't done tests on one shitty micro PLC. No, we have tested thousands of different automation products, thousands, not just one or three. And so this works just fine. Forget about all the nonsense. You have been lied to, and you are being lied to. So that discovery product, you can also install it in different flavors. The network discovery, that's what you would regularly do. And then there are also different versions available, such as an agent that you install only on a specific Windows PC. And it discovers only the software configuration of that Windows PC. And then you have a mobile version that you don't even need to install. So that's like a one-shot on-demand thing that you can execute from a USB stick, and it will store the asset information on that USB stick so that you can later upload it to OTbase inventory. And you would deploy those various software variants in your process networks, behind the firewall, behind the DMZ, behind the data diode. And there in the process networks, they do their discovery, usually every 24 hours, and automatically upload the asset information to OTbase inventory, which you see here. And that means that you don't need to change any firewall rules. So if you already have some network segregation in place, that would be awesome. You would simply place OTbase discovery behind those firewalls and let them communicate their results outbound to OTbase inventory. That implies that you may end up with hundreds of OTbase discovery installations. Hundreds. That's we're seeing that every now and then. Or, I would say most of the time. We're seeing that most of the time. It's very rare that a customer gets along with, I don't know, 10 or 20 OTbase discovery nodes. And that is really not an issue because it doesn't cost extra, right? So you don't pay for the number of OTbase discovery installations. You pay for the resulting number of assets, of devices in OTbase inventory. But if you are deploying several hundred of these software products, you want to have some means of orchestration. And this is where the OTbase Discovery Manager comes in, which you see down here at the bottom. And this is a product that only does the orchestration. That includes reconfiguration of nodes. You can check the status of those individual nodes, and you can also do automatic updates. So when we release a new product version, you can deploy those via OTbase Discovery Manager. And then there is another new cool feature in Discovery Manager. Now it also comes with an integrated proxy. So let's just assume you already have your Discovery Manager set up to orchestrate your, let's just say 100 OTbase discovery nodes. And then since you have this communication path already, you could also then say to OTbase Discovery, well, don't send your asset information directly to OTbase inventory, send it to Discovery Manager. And then Discovery Manager would just pass it to OTbase inventory, which simplifies this interface here. So it simplifies your security run through because now it's all funneled through OTbase Discovery Manager. So that makes it even more easy to configure your network architecture to support OTbase as such. And so if you go further down on that web page that I pointed out, you will see additional details. So you will see you can download the evaluation version of OTbase Discovery for free. Just download it from our website and check it out. And this will make a clear point that you have been lied to when it comes to active discovery. Check it out in your test network. You will see everything continues to run just fine. Then for the orchestration, there is a link to the Discovery Manager documentation. And this allows me to point out that the full product documentation is available online. And you will find it at the link support.langner.com. So there you see the full OTbase product documentation. And let's just check out Discovery as an example. Here you see everything you need to know, and it also includes Discovery Manager, and it includes description of the various flavors that I've mentioned earlier. So to give you a little bit better understanding of Discovery, again, that is usually a service that then crawls through your process network and collects all the data about the assets in those networks, and it comes with a configuration UI. You can launch that configuration UI either locally on that machine where Discovery is installed, or you can launch it remotely via Discovery Manager, whatever suits you best. And in that configuration UI, you will do all the necessary settings. You will provide a location ID, for example, which is very important, so that inventory then knows where the data is coming from. And then you can also fine-tune the various protocols that we use for discovery. So, for example, you would use you would set some credentials for authenticated protocols such as SNMP version 3. And this gives me another opportunity to talk about security, because those credentials will not be transmitted to OTbase inventory. OTbase inventory doesn't know about those credentials. In OTbase Discovery Manager, they are stored with the as an encrypted file in the encrypted configuration, so they're still secure. And this gives you an idea of the configuration UI. The configuration UI will also, after you have done a discovery run, it will expose subsets of the results, which will then allow you to validate that the configuration is proper. And that also will help you if you are you're interested in the technology at least a little bit. It will open your eyes, and it will show you what OTbase discovers using active discovery. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to our diagram here. The other thing that you can see in this diagram is a couple of additional interfaces to the IT space, to the cloud. But again, we don't force you in the cloud. But the fact of the matter is there are some data sources in the cloud that you want to take advantage of. And the most prominent example would be vulnerability information. Vulnerability information from NIST, from Microsoft, and from CISA. Obviously, this is only available in the cloud, in the public internet. And then this information, if you configure it, you just check the box, you just put that you click on that box, and then the vulnerability information is downloaded automatically by OTbase inventory. Usually you do that every 24 hours. It all happens behind the scenes. And then OTbase inventory tells you right away about those vulnerabilities that affect your installed base and all the other nonsense, right? So that you don't need to worry about, because it doesn't affect what you have. This is where your inventory comes together with those additional metadata from NIST and others, okay? And that matching is done completely automatically behind the scenes. But if you want to see your known vulnerabilities automatically, then this data needs to be downloaded from the internet. Certainly, if you don't trust NIST, you don't trust the US government in particular, then you cannot actually do your vulnerability management. And then you would not check the box and you would be safe. So that data will not end up here in your OTbase inventory. Good. Then you can download product data that is curated by us. So we maintain a curated pool of product data for various popular automation products. And that includes information such as product lifecycle. Is this product still available for sale, or you can no longer buy any additional parts? So this is usually downloaded weekly automatically from our web server. Again, you can check it off. If you don't trust us, check it off. But if you don't trust us, you will probably not actually purchase a license for this product. On the right side here, and by the way, this is text-only data. So if you are suspicious, you can actually check out the raw data. You will see, well, it's a bunch of JSON, so it's not really security sensitive. Then on the right side, you have your links to the enterprise IT with platforms such as ServiceNow, Splunk, and Power BI. For those products, we do offer standard connectors. So you don't have to do all the fine-tuning yourself. You don't have to program anything. You just use the standard connector and you're good to go on day one. And maybe the one interface I would like to point out here is the Power BI integration, because especially when it comes to OT security, in our experience, a vastly underestimated function that you really need is the reporting. So if you are not able to report your security posture and any improvements, hopefully, of that posture to top management, it becomes very difficult to retain your funding, your budget. And in our experience, Power BI does an excellent job in that regard. And usually management is already using Power BI for various different topics. And if you can then just throw in your OT security information, that is a banger. Management loves that. Then we have an interface to Microsoft Excel. You can export all your asset information. You can import asset information. And finally, you can connect it to your custom applications via the REST API. In general, pretty much anything that you see in OTbase inventory can be exported using the REST API given proper credentials. So the REST API is subject to the same access control mechanisms as the user interface. You can limit the amount or the scope of the data that can be exported using the access control mechanisms in OTbase inventory. And certainly you could set up different accounts if you want to, and those different REST API accounts would be able to access a different scope of the information. So just to give you an idea about that architecture of the various components for the standard license, you will get, let me go back to that diagram. The standard license includes OTbase inventory, it includes OTbase discovery, it includes OTbase discovery manager, it includes the REST API, and certainly a user interface, that's clear, but and the vulnerability import and the product data download. It does not include the components here for ServiceNow integration, Splunk, Power BI. So those are priced separately. Good. We don't have any questions or comments, so I can close 5 minutes early. See you next time, same place, same time.